Have you ever wondered why you can't remember the moment you were born? Have you ever tried to imagine what it would feel like to die and notice that you simply can't? And what if everything you've been told about death being the end was never true at all? What if life and death are not opposites, but two sides of the same mystery, and the real you has never died and never will? Most people fear death because they think it's the final stop, the great silence that swallows everything. But the ancient Gnostic teachers, and even some modern scientists, believed something completely different. They said death is not an end, but a transformation. Your body may fade, but your awareness, the spark that watches, feels, and dreams, continues. Energy cannot be destroyed, it only changes form. Just like the waves return to the ocean, so do we return to the infinite consciousness that gave us life. In this story, we'll journey deep into forgotten wisdom to understand why you'll never truly experience death. We'll see how this truth can heal our fear, change the way we live, and help us face loss with strength and peace. You'll discover how awareness continues beyond form, how every ending hides a new beginning, and how remembering your true nature can make you fearless, loving, and free. So, stay with me until the end. Every part of this story is a step toward a truth that can transform the way you see life itself. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Now, let's open the hidden book of life and uncover the Gnostic secret of immortality.
Most people believe death is the end, a silent, full stop where everything disappears. We grow up hearing that one day everything we love will be gone, and this fear shapes how we live. But if you look deeply at life, you'll see that nothing truly ends. Everything only changes its form. When a leaf falls from a tree, it doesn't vanish. It becomes part of the soil, feeding the roots that give birth to new leaves. When fire burns wood, the flame dies, but the warmth becomes part of the air. Death, too, may only be a doorway, a moment of change, not a final goodbye. Even science agrees that energy can never be destroyed, it only transforms. Your body is made of the same particles that once belonged to stars, oceans, and ancient life. The atoms that make your heart once danced inside suns. So how could something eternal suddenly stop existing? The Gnostics believed the same, that life moves in circles, not lines. What looks like an ending is only a turning point, a quiet pause before another form begins. There's a story of a woman who lost everything in a great storm. Her home was gone, her plans were ruined, and for a long time she thought her life had ended. But years later, she found herself stronger, living close to nature, helping others rebuild their lives. When asked how she survived, she said, "I didn't end, I transformed." Her words hold the same truth the Gnostics spoke thousands of years ago. Every ending in your life, a breakup, a failure, or even death itself, is not destruction, but movement. The seed must break for the flower to bloom. You are part of that endless rhythm. When you stop fearing endings, you begin to see the secret dance behind them. Every loss hides a new birth. Every silence hides a song waiting to be heard again. The truth is simple but powerful. Nothing you are can ever be lost. It only changes shape, waiting to bloom again in another form of light.
Close your eyes for a moment and think about this. Who is watching your thoughts right now? There is a quiet presence behind every experience you've ever had. It has seen you as a child, watched you grow, cry, laugh, and change, yet it has never aged. This silent traveler within you is not the body or the mind. It is the awareness that experiences both. The Gnostics called it the divine observer. the real you that never dies. Your body changes every moment. Science tells us that every 7 years, every cell in your body is replaced with a new one, yet you still feel the same sense of I. This means the real you is not your flesh, not your memories, not even your thoughts, because all of those keep changing. The Gnostics understood this long ago. They said the body is only a temporary garment that your soul wears for a while. When that garment wears out, the traveler simply moves on, wearing a new one. There are many stories from people who have touched death and come back. One man said he saw his body lying below him as doctors tried to save him. He felt calm, peaceful, and free, not trapped, not gone. He said, "I was not the one dying. I was the one watching." Such moments reveal a truth we often forget. The observer never dies. It only shifts its point of view. You can experience this truth even now. When you stop for a moment and watch your own thoughts, you will notice a stillness behind them. That stillness is your real home. It has no beginning and no end. The more you connect with it, the less you fear change. Because when you know that you are not the body, but the one who lives through it, death loses its power over you. The silent traveler within is eternal. It has been here through all your lifetimes, quietly watching the endless movie of existence. The Gnostics believed that inside every human being lives a spark of divine light, a piece of the infinite that can never fade. They called it the divine spark, the living flame of consciousness that no shadow can touch. This spark is not born, and it does not die. It only changes its shape, its story, its form. You may call it soul, awareness, or spirit, but it is the same power that gives life to stars, oceans, and dreams. Think of a candle lighting another candle. The first flame is not lost when it shares its fire. It simply continues in a new form. Consciousness is like that flame. When the body fades, the light moves into another form of being. The Gnostics said, "We are not humans trying to reach divinity. We are divine beings having a short human experience." You are not learning to become eternal, you already are. Even modern science whispers the same secret through the laws of energy. Energy can never be destroyed, it only transforms. The energy that beats your heart and creates your thoughts is part of that eternal flow. When we die, that energy doesn't vanish. It joins a higher field, returning to the ocean of life that never ends. The universe itself is conscious, and you are one drop of that endless awareness. There was once an old monk who was asked, "What happens when we die?" He smiled and said, "The same thing that happens when the sun sets. It only appears to disappear, but it shines somewhere else." The same is true for you. You are the light behind your eyes, the awareness that no darkness can erase. When you remember this, you live differently. Fear softens, love deepens. You stop chasing eternity because you realize you are already part of it. Consciousness never dies. It only moves from one form of light to another, carrying the eternal story of who you truly are.
The Gnostics said the only real death is not the death of the body. It is the moment you forget who you truly are. They believed there are invisible forces that keep us asleep, making us forget our divine nature. They called these forces the archons. But these are not monsters outside us. They are the fears, doubts, and pains that live in our own minds. Every time you think you are not good enough, every time you feel trapped in guilt, fear, or comparison, an archon wins. They feed on forgetfulness, the state of being lost in the noise of the world.
Many people today live inside this silent prison. They look free, they walk, talk, and work, but inside they are trapped by invisible walls, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. These walls are built slowly by painful memories, harsh words, and repeated self-doubt. When you forget that you are a being of light, you start believing the voice that says, "You are small, you are powerless." And that is the real death the Gnostics warned us about, the death of awareness. There was once a man who lived many years in sadness and anxiety. One day, he sat quietly and watched his thoughts pass like clouds. For the first time, he realized he was not his pain. He was the sky behind it. That small moment of awareness broke the walls of his prison. He found peace not by fighting his thoughts, but by remembering who he was beyond them. This is the key to freedom. The moment you remember your true self, the divine spark that no darkness can touch, you rise above the prison. You see fear for what it is, a shadow that disappears when light returns. Real awakening is not about running away from life. It's about remembering the truth that was always inside you. The only thing that ever dies is forgetfulness, and when you awaken, you are reborn without even leaving this world.
Imagine your life as a great river. Not a straight one, but a river that splits into 1,000 streams. Each turn, each decision creates a new path. The Gnostics believed this river is not made of water, but of awareness, your consciousness, endlessly flowing from one reality to another. When you reach what seems like an ending, an accident, an illness, or even death, your consciousness does not stop. It simply moves to another branch of the river, another version of reality where the story continues. You never experience death because you always awaken somewhere else. Think of moments when you felt you should have been gone, yet somehow you survived. A missed accident, a sudden change that saved your life. These may be tiny glimpses of your consciousness shifting timelines. Modern science now speaks of the same mystery. Quantum theory suggests that every choice, every possibility already exists, and the observer, you, decide which one you live in. The Gnostics said it long ago, you are both the dreamer and the dream, the light that moves through all worlds. When you stop fearing death, you begin to live differently. You see that every ending is just a turning of the river. Every heartbreak, every loss becomes another doorway to a new flow of experience. You start to live with curiosity instead of fear. You start to notice how your awareness weaves the world around you. The more you awaken, the more the river opens before you. There was once a woman who lost everything, her home, her job, her peace. She thought her life had ended, but in her pain, she started painting. Through her art, she found a new version of herself, a new reality that felt more true than the one before. Her old world had ended, but her consciousness had simply shifted to a richer stream. That is how the universe works, not through endings, but through flow. You are never trapped in one story. You are the traveler moving through infinite branches of the river. The Gnostics whispered this truth. The soul does not die. It only changes direction. Always awake, always alive, always flowing toward light.
The Gnostics taught that true freedom begins the moment you realize you are not a passenger in life, but the traveler, the one who shifts, chooses, and awakens across countless realities. Most people live half asleep, believing life just happens to them, but awakening means remembering that every thought, every feeling, every breath is a choice that shapes your path. You are not moving through life. Life is moving through you. Awakening the traveler within begins with simple awareness. When you pause and ask, who is witnessing this moment? You step outside the fog of automatic living. You begin to see that the quiet observer inside you, the one behind your thoughts, is eternal. The Gnostics called this direct knowing gnosis. It is not learned from books or teachers, but remembered from within. It is the feeling of suddenly knowing, I have been here before. I am the traveler, not the journey. In daily life, this means slowing down, noticing your breath, your emotions, your choices. When fear appears, do not fight it, observe it. Fear cannot survive your awareness. When you remember your divine spark, the noise of the world loses its power over you. You begin to live with lightness, not because problems disappear, but because you no longer mistake them for your identity. There was a young man who often felt lost and powerless. One night, instead of running from his thoughts, he sat still and whispered, I am aware. That small moment changed his life. He realized that even when his world fell apart, the awareness watching it never broke. From that day, he faced every challenge as an opportunity to wake up, to shift consciously, rather than be swept along. This is how the traveler within awakens. You start to see that reality bends with your awareness. You begin to choose peace instead of panic, love instead of fear. You no longer wait for miracles, you become one. Every moment becomes a chance to remember who you are, the light that moves through worlds, the eternal traveler awakening within the dream.
The greatest truth the Gnostics shared was that you are not walking toward an ending. You are moving through an infinite journey. The soul is not a story with a final page, but an endless unfolding, a flame that never stops glowing. Every breath, every dream, every choice is another step in eternity. When you understand this, fear begins to fade. Because what is there to fear when you can never be lost? What is death but a doorway through which you continue to awaken again and again? Many people live trapped in the belief that life is short, that time is slipping away. This belief creates anxiety, pressure, and sadness. But the Gnostics said that fear is the shadow that appears only when we forget the light of our true being. When you remember that your awareness cannot die, that your consciousness continues beyond every ending, your relationship with time changes. You start to live not with hurry, but with peace. You start to see each day not as a countdown, but as an invitation to create, to love, to awaken. Imagine a candle lighting another candle. The first one never loses its flame. This is what happens when you die. Your awareness lights up a new form, a new experience, another branch of the infinite story. You never stop burning with life. Modern science now whispers similar truths, that energy is never destroyed, only transformed. The Gnostics knew this long ago, but they spoke in the language of the soul. They said, you are not the flame that fades. You are the fire that moves through eternity. There was once an old teacher who told his students, when I die, do not cry for me. I will only have changed rooms. He smiled because he knew that consciousness cannot be buried. His students remembered his words years later and felt peace, not grief. That is the power of awakening, to meet every ending with wonder, not fear. So, live gently, fear less, trust the river of existence. The journey does not stop when your body rests. You are the awareness that keeps moving, the traveler who never ends, the light that no darkness can touch, always alive, always awakening.